I don't even want to talk about this one. I'm scared people are going to come at me. Hi, my name is Sarah, and welcome to my channel all about sewing and styling a handmade wardrobe. I asked my community to share with me their spiciest sewing opinions, and I'm going to share them with you today. And I'm also going to include a few of my own, especially one at the end that I think is going to be a little bit controversial. So let's just get started. The first one says, tracing. I hate tracing and prefer to destroy a paper pattern, otherwise I won't use it. Well, if you're a returning viewer to my channel, then you will know that I agree with this 1000%. I also hate tracing. It is a pain in the neck, and I have bought patterns before from Big Four and cut into them and then actually gone back and bought another copy because I cut into it and then I needed a different size or I needed something. That doesn't happen that often, but for me, I would rather go back to Joann and pay another $1.99 for a second copy rather than having to trace. It's worth the $1.99 to me not to have to do that. And the same with a PDF pattern. I can always reprint and retape it together if I feel like I really need to. There's only a few circumstances where I would trace, like if it's a vintage pattern or out of print, or if it's an indie paper pattern. Let's go to the next one. Pressing your seams is overrated. I feel like people are going to have thoughts about this one. My opinion is I sort of agree. So I'm very lazy when I sew knits. Oftentimes I will not even press my fabric when it's a knit because sometimes I find, especially if it's like a rayon jersey or something really fluid, if I try to iron it before I cut it out, I'll sometimes just end up pressing wrinkles into the fabric. So I very often skip that step, and just in general, if I'm making a knit, I don't really see the need to press my seams. I might steam them at the end, but just being real here, most of the time I don't. But for wovens, I feel like it's a different story. This is just me and my personal opinion, but I just feel like pressing woven seams is really important, and I do always take the time to do it. I think maybe it's because I have a quilting background. It's just sort of ingrained in me that you need to press your seams. And also, I'm kind of a stickler about pressing my seams open most of the time, so I will often serge my seams first, then sew them, and then press them open, rather than pressing them to the side. So for me, this one is a bit of a mixed bag. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is pressing overrated? All right, third comment. I feel like we're starting to heat up here. French seams are overrated, a waste of time and money, and are snobbery. Serged seams work just fine. This is another one that for me, I would say that I somewhat agree. I do serge seams myself the majority of the time. But every once in a while, if there's a special piece of fabric or if I just really feel like taking my time, I will do French seams or flat felled seams, and I do feel a sense of satisfaction when you get it right. But I don't think that it's necessary. I don't do it on every project, certainly. And I don't know that people who are really into French seams are necessarily snobby, but then again, I don't know. Sometimes when I see other people doing French seams on something like a gathered skirt, like when you're putting a tier into a dress or something, that does seem like a very time-consuming thing to do, and I don't know why you would necessarily even want to do that, but that's just me. So yeah, I gotta say, like, I mostly agree with this one, but not always. Whew, this next one's scorching. We're too polite as a community. Some very popular patterns or pattern companies have poor overall drafting or drafting mistakes, and nobody talks about it. For instance, the sleeve cap for the Blackwood cardigan is shorter than the arm side it sews into. On a related note, many of the non-stretch high-waisted pant patterns result in camel toe because the crotch curve is too short. It looks painful. I mostly agree with you on principle, but at the same time, we're often talking about a solo entrepreneur here, and I just feel bad about trashing people. I always try to be honest when I'm reviewing the sewing products that I review, whether that's patterns or fabric or notions or tools or whatever. But I also try to do it in a way that's not super hurtful. Honest, but not mean, you know what I mean? But I do agree that maybe we could be a little bit more honest in our assessment of patterns when things don't go right. I think especially for newer sewists, often they will think if something doesn't go right, like the cardigan example that the person gave, that they might think that they did something wrong rather than there being something wrong with the pattern. And maybe if we were all a little bit more honest about it, then they would realize that it's not them, that it's the pattern. So I don't know, I do agree with you, but also I'm a little bit scared to go that far myself. Although you guys know if you watch my channel that I do try to be as honest as I can without just being mean. Now I have a few of my own spicy opinions to share. The first one is that we all know that Big Four patterns have this huge problem with tons of ease built into the patterns. But there are several well-known, very popular indie patterns that I feel suffer from the exact same issue. The reason that I don't like this is because a lot of times I'm already at the lower end of the sizing scale, and when you hear about people regularly saying I needed to size down 2 sizes, 3 sizes in order to make this pattern, that usually means that I can't make the pattern because I can't size down that many sizes. If I want to make that pattern, I would have to grade it down myself, which is something that generally speaking I'm not very interested in doing. Some examples of these patterns are the Paper Theory Zadie jumpsuit. Now I actually did make this one, but I did have to grade it down and it was kind of a pain in the neck. I have a review of that I will link up in the cards in case you want to check it out. And then a couple of other really popular patterns that I feel have the same issue are the True Bias Marlowe sweater and the Friday Pattern Company Heather blazer. I just think that these patterns have an excessive amount of ease in them. Like, I understand something being meant to be oversized. Like, I like oversized things. But when we're talking about most people say they need to size down 2 or more sizes, in my opinion, that is just too much excessive built-in ease. I'm not saying that every pattern has to be super fitted to the body. I like relaxed fit garments, but let's just not go overboard, shall we? All right, moving on to my second sewing hot take. There are too many indie jeans patterns, and there's more coming out every day, and there's just too many of them. We all know that the Ginger jeans and the Morgan jeans and then the Megan Nielsen, Ash, and Dawn jeans have been around for many, many years at this point, and they're very popular. All of them have thousands of projects being sewn at this point. And I'm not saying that there's not room in the market for new or different patterns, but I am kind of saying that we don't need a basic jeans pattern from every pattern company. I know that Anna Allen recently released a pattern that has been very popular so far, and that both Love Notions and Helen's Closet are having jeans patterns in the works that are come out soon. And I just think that it's too much, guys. And this is from a person who owns like 10 different jeans patterns. Maybe that's why I want companies to stop making them, so that I will stop buying them. After I actually took the time to fit and make some jeans, I've realized that it's a lot easier just to use the same pattern and change up the leg shape and small little details than it is to keep refitting these new patterns over and over and over again. So like I said, if there's something truly unique that a company can bring to the market that is not there before, then by all means, go ahead and do it. I just think that we can stop with the basics. I feel like those are covered. What do you guys think? Do we really need any more indie jeans patterns? Let me know in the comments. Now this last one, I debated back and forth whether I should even bring it up because I feel like people are going to violently disagree with me. But that's probably why it is a good topic for discussion. My third opinion is that I don't think we should always be giving our maids to charity shops. I have absolutely no problem with donating items that are in good condition, that have hardly ever been worn. Maybe it just wasn't your style or didn't fit quite right, but it's a perfectly well-made, nice garment. Absolutely, you can give those to charity shops. Where I live though, in the US, there are often restrictions though. The charity shops often want you to attach sizing tags to your garments if you're going to donate them when they're me-made. And if I'm just going to be real and honest with you guys, if I have to go to the step to buy some sizing tags and put them in there, I'm often not going to do that, or it's going to take me a really long time to get around to doing that. And in the meantime, these clothes are just sitting in a basket piling up, waiting to be donated. So it's not something that's super convenient. One thing that I am very much against doing, and that is donating, whether it's me-made or otherwise. I don't think that we should be giving our old, stained, ratty clothes to charity. Let's be real, if the clothes aren't in good condition, they're just going to get thrown out anyway, and you're giving your trash to someone else and making it their problem. I also just really hate the principle of this because these clothes are often meant to go to needy people, and needy people deserve nice clothes too. They don't need our trash. So instead of donating worn out clothes to charity, I prefer to cut them up and use them as rags, or do textile recycling, or I will often scrap them for parts. I'll take off the buttons, take out the zipper, the elastic, whatever. But I just don't think it's right to foist my crap onto other people. That's not what this is about. I have a story to share with you, and it's actually a little bit of a tragic tale. So back in 2018, I had bought some fabric from Blackbird Fabrics. It was a boiled wool viscose blend. It was very expensive, and when I got it in the mail, it was pretty scratchy, but I was thinking, well, maybe when I wash it, it'll get a little bit softer. It was so expensive, it must be a nice quality. So I just plunged ahead, and I think I made like a sweater blazer type of thing. And I wore it like maybe once, and it was just so incredibly itchy. It like really irritated my neck and my wrists, anything that the wool was touching. And I would say like I'm only moderately sensitive to wool. I'm not even like super sensitive. And it was just so scratchy. It made me feel like I was crawling out of my skin. But because this item was like, I feel like it was pretty well made and it was so darn expensive, I'm like, well, maybe I'll just give it to charity. But in the end, I just threw it in the trash because I didn't feel it was right to like foist off this mega itchy garment onto someone else. It did not feel like the right thing to do to me. So even though it broke my heart a little bit to throw away this wool that cost me so much money, I figured that was the right thing to do rather than giving it to charity. If you just can't get enough of controversial sewing opinions, I have another video you should watch right here.